Well, if you wanted to know the state of the modern evangelical Christian wife, you should look no further than a post on Focus on the Family's Facebook page. Now, this was brought to my attention by a friend of mine, Jay, who posts on my channel quite a bit. And this is just pure gold for the comments section of this. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. If you go to the Facebook page of Focus on the Family, there's a lot of posts about obviously family, but husbands, wives, children, family stuff. So if you scroll down, we got dating boundaries, blah, blah, blah. We've got Rebecca St. James talking about motherhood, blah, blah, blah. You get one comment here, a few shares. We got kids loves jokes, blah, blah, blah. Couple comments. Agape love and marriage. We go, oh, well, that one got 166 comments, few shares on it. Relationship with your children, one comment, a few shares. Here's love as a sacrifice, blah, blah. A couple comments, few shares. But then, folks, then we get to a quote by Deb Weekly, the Help Club for Moms. Okay, Deb Weekly, Help Club for Moms. Sounds like a pretty good woman here. Her quote about what the responsibilities of a good Christian wife. Here's the quote. You can read it right here. You have the power to raise your husband up. He could be a better leader in his community. He could be better in your home when you're lifting him up and when you are encouraging him instead of beating him down for what he's doing wrong. He will rise to what's expected of him. Okay, so here is the unforgivable sin to the modern evangelical Christian wife. This is the unforgivable sin. Don't you dare tell me about any responsibilities I have towards my husband. That is the unforgivable sin. Now, how do I know this? Look at this. Look at this now. From this quote, we have 684 comments and 437 shares. And you can guess about how these comments are going to go. So let's do a deep dive, maybe not a deep dive, but let's do a dive into what the comments are on, on this Facebook post that is saying, hey, women, you are partly responsible for how your husband behaves. Oh, the horror. Can you believe the horror of someone saying that here? Let's look at it. Andrew Vioseke, the white knight, says no human being is responsible for someone rising up. Husbands and wives should love, respect, and encourage each other. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. White Knight. Let's move on. Lois Cybered Eagles. Okay. Lois, I don't know if that's a real name or not, but Lois Cybered Eagles says, do you have any actual stats or studies that prove that this is an effective course of action? Okay, now let's read the quote one more time. A, a it's almost comical. I need some stats to prove this. The quote is a wife should lift her husband up and encourage him instead of beat him down for what he's doing wrong. And this wife says, I need some stats to justify this. She says, in my experience, oh, here we go. Oh, all right, here we go. It only enabled harmful, abusive behavior that continued to escalate until I had to leave. Translation: I need to justify my bad behavior in being a disloyal woman. And whatever I need to do to justify being disloyal, I'll do it. Come on. For many women this is very dangerous advice. And sure, you can put a caveat of this advice is only intended for healthy marriages. But many, many women do not realize that they are in abusive marriages because Christians and churches don't often educate on abuse. Well, That's funny because about the only thing I ever hear in regard to marriage from evangelicalism lately is abuse. Whenever we talk about submission, now I don't know how many more videos I can do. I've got about 30 of them already. I don't know how many more I can do where a pastor talks about marriage and the wife's role in submission. And before he even defines what submission is, he tells you what it's not. And what it is not is abuse, some kind of abuse. It's not verbal abuse, emotional abuse, financial abuse, spiritual abuse, whatever other term whatever other adjective we can put in front of abuse, right? It's not any of those things, right? Come on. All right, let's read on. Dr. Andrew J. Bauman, who is a therapist and abuse advocate, whatever that means. Once again, focus on the family. This is dangerous advice for women in abusive relationships. Ladies, you could practice truth telling because God is truth. Again, let's go up to the top one more time and read. What was the quote again? It's good, wives, if you practice lifting your husband up and encouraging him instead of beating him down for what he's doing wrong. Now, right there, beating him down for what he's doing wrong, that to me sounds like verbal abuse, doesn't it? Well, it's okay if you verbally abuse your husband because then you won't be enabling him to abuse you, I guess. I don't know what, anyway. All right, let's go back down here. But where am I at? Dr. Andrew Bauman says it's dangerous advice for women. Chris Beachhold Druin says this is like saying you can fix sin. Can we be kind and encouraging? Yes. Now notice she doesn't say should we be. She just says can we? Can we be? Yes. Can they choose to not be a nice person? Yes. We all have choices. And sometimes people choose not to be nice no matter what we do. You can't turn anyone around if they don't want to be turned around. Let me look at this. This is a former speech therapist at Sacred Heart Majesty, I don't know, whatever, at the University of South Dakota. Okay, well. Now, Joy Catty Crowley Childers. Now, if you got 4 names, you're probably a wacko. Okay, if somebody's got 4 names online, on Facebook, where any of these places, if they got 4 names, they're probably a whack job. All right, but Joy Catty Crowley Childers says, this is dangerous advice for women trapped in abusive marriages. Men have free will. And their behavior is their responsibility. Now, again, let's read this quote again. I don't know why I got to come up with it because I'm just thinking, like, wow, what was the quote again? Like, what are these women talking? She says, you have the power to raise your husband up by encouraging him instead of beating him down. He could be a better leader. He could be better in your home if you would lift him up and encourage him. Instead of beat him down for what he's doing wrong. This is dangerous advice for women. Joy Katie Crowley Childers. Okay. Lee Spear. Well, at least she's got 2 names. Okay, that's nice. This is good. All right. She says, I'd love to know the research behind this claim. What? Give me some research to know that, hey, let me go back up to the clip. Hey, it's a good idea to lift up your husband and encourage him instead of beat him down. Okay? I need some research to show that this is a good idea. No, you silly bimbo. You don't need any research to know this is a good idea. Okay, you don't need any. I'm just telling you right now, the Post Mailman is telling you there's no research needed to know that this is a good idea. Okay, just shut up and do it. Like, what? Let me read on. Focus on the Family positions themselves as a resource for families. But over and over again, it seems they ignore a large group of their following. Oh, really? Really? They ignore a large group of their following by saying this one time that women have some kind of responsibility in their marriage? Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, my goodness. All right, let's read on. Alicia Mercer says, I see the heart behind this message, and while I agree in that encouragement and support are essential in marriage, okay, thank you. Thank you, Alicia. Here it comes, though. This perspective places a heavy burden on women. Well, far be it for anyone in the entire universe to put a heavy burden on a woman. Far be it for us to do that. Oh my goodness. Again, what was the quote? Hold on, I got to go back. What was this heavy burden that the women must bear? What is it? Let me go back up to the top. It would be better in your home to lift him up and encourage him instead of beating him down for what he's doing wrong. What a heavy burden for the modern evangelical Christian wife. Oh, such a heavy burden, they cannot bear it. Oh my goodness. All right, let me read on. It suggests that a husband doesn't rise because his wife didn't try hard enough. And that simply is not fair or biblical. Yeah, said nobody ever in the modern evangelical Christian church. Okay, this is just a suggestion, like a suggestion from this lady whom I've never heard of, but sounds like a good suggestion. Hey, maybe your husband would do better than he is right now if you would encourage him instead of continually run him down and beat him down. Hey, that sounds like some good practical advice. No, such a heavy burden on the modern evangelical Christian woman. They can't bear it. Okay, what else do we got here? Kristen Hall Slilwicki says it is not my responsibility to make him show up as a husband, father, and a man. Well, thank goodness we know it's not, because we know if it was, he never would. Okay, we know it was. It is his job, period. Let me get a picture of this. This woman got a picture. Oh, it's her dog. Oh, well, no wonder this woman's got a picture of her dog. Husband must have left a long time ago. I'm busy taking care of myself, the kids, my dying parents, working full time and paying the bills. Do not guilt me into being responsible for his feelings or failures and shame. That's his responsibility. You know this woman's divorced. Oh my goodness, you know this woman. Can you believe it? Can you believe it? A post on Focus on the Family actually puts a little bit of responsibility on the women, and they cannot handle it. Crazy. Here's another one. Let's go to Nicole Metz McLinden. Nicole Metz McLinden. How about teach men to do their part in the household? Women do build their husbands up and try to make things better in every way they can. The criticism doesn't come until all other avenues have been exhausted. Oh my goodness. Does anybody believe this? Like, oh my god, does this woman, what's it? Has she got a picture on here? Let me see. Was her picture? She got the White House, I guess. I don't know what that means. Oh my god. Who is believing this? Like, does anybody believe this? Well, if you believe that, I got some swampland in Texas to sell you. Men are always given an excuse when they do something wrong, and somehow it becomes the woman's fault. Oh yeah, yeah, that said nobody ever. Okay, things won't get better until men are held accountable for being better people. It is within them to choose to do better or not. Stop blaming women for men not making the right choices. Yeah, who again is blaming women for men? Oh, that's right. No one is. Now, again, this woman, she starts off with, how about teach men to do their part in the household? Again, what was the quote again? I still got to go back up to the quote. It says, women should lift up and encourage their men instead of beating them down for what they're doing wrong. And somehow we went to housework. Okay. Autumn Washburn says, yep, if we keep our mouths shut, never express our pains, and where growth in the marriage needs to happen and stay depleted and depressed, at least our husbands will be built up. This is the toxicity of the Christian marriages. Oh my goodness. Wow, the toxicity. But where did these women get off on this stuff? Like, oh my goodness. What is this? Is this woman married? I don't know. Pharmacy technician. Okay. Bear Lake, California, where there's a Julie Lamont says, if only this were true, the more you lift up abusive men, the more the abusive they become. Wow. I just wonder why, how come on Focus on the Family, there's so many abused women on here? That seems odd to me, doesn't it? Like, what does Focus on the Family, this Christian organization, just attract abused women everywhere? I don't know. That seems odd to me. Give me a comment below. Does anybody else think that's odd? Like, this is only abused women that show up on this. Like, what? Again, Melanie Dart. Is this purely anecdotal, or do you have evidence to support this claim? Support the claim. Obviously, this approach hasn't worked for many people here in the comments. Gathering and analyzing data is helpful to determine what actually benefits marriage. Now, again, you'd wonder, like, okay, what data do we need? I know I keep going back to this, but what data do we need? Again, the quote says, it could be better in your home if you're lifting him up and encouraging him instead of beating him down for what he's done wrong. Do we need data to tell us that that's a good idea? No, we don't need data to tell us that. Oh my goodness. Like, what a bunch of idiots. Okay. Again, folks, this is the state of the modern Christian wife here. That you put out a statement, hey, women, you know what? Your husbands might be doing better as leaders in the community and your home if you would stop tearing them down and encourage them and build them up. What? The women go crazy. They cannot handle that kind of talk. You mean I'm responsible for something in my home? Okay. Now, I like this woman, Amy Nichols here. Wow, what a reflective singer-songwriter or something or other. I don't know. She says, it's not a burden to me to tell my husband I appreciate what he does or to say thank you. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to say thank you to you. Thank you for that comment. For the rest of these bimbos that have no idea what's going on. Oftentimes, we are kinder to strangers who open doors for us than we are to our own husbands. Thank you, Amy. Wow, woman's got some sense. I like this woman. Okay. She says, let your husband be the man. Too often we usurp their position and authority. And again, we get angry over it. I know not all husbands are created equal, but change your conversation and see what happens. What a good suggestion, Amy Nichols. Boy, I like this woman. I don't know who she is. Wise woman right here, giving some good advice. Then let's look at the replies, though. What did the ladies say to Amy Nichols? Heather says, well, look at Heather. Oh my goodness. All right, Heather says, do we usurp the position or do we fill the void when things aren't done? Jennifer Moe. Yo, Moe. Jennifer Moe. Here we go. Jacksonville, North Carolina. Amy Nichols. This isn't what they're saying. I've all the books they endorse. What? There's no male or female in Christ. Us older women tried it. Now, listen, this woman doesn't look that old. She's not that old. The older women tried it 4 decades. You know how marriages is really work for 0. You know how many marriages it work for 0. You know why? Because when you reward sinful behavior, humans ramp up the sinful behavior. Okay. All right. I'd wonder if Jennifer Moe really tried this advice. Anyway, then she rants on and on against Amy. Oh, Tamara Hallman Salazar here. Wow, this is a good one. Okay. Authority and position, you mean as equals? Co-heirs with Christ and partners? Oh, yeah, Tamara. See, now, this is really the modern evangelical Christian wife. What? What? Authority? No. No, no, no. We're all co-heirs with Christ. We're all equals here. Everybody's an equal. Okay. Amy said, now this is probably the dumbest comment on this whole post. Amy Sire, I'm not sure. She's a graphic design, works at Freeing Hope, whatever that is. Graphic design student, art student here. Okay, studied art there. She says, so iron sharpens iron doesn't apply to the marriage relationship. Well, Amy, it applies if it's a gay man relationship, yes, because what does the verse say? As iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens another. So, yes, Amy, I guess if it's two men married to one another, then it applies to the marriage relationship. Oh, except, whoops, timeout. The Bible explicitly speaks against that. So, I guess it doesn't. All right. Let me read on. Is a woman allowed to address problems in their relationship or with how her husband is behaving? Or is she only allowed to encourage him with positive affirmation? Where are the stats that prove this strategy work? Boy, again, how many times I got to say it? Do we need stats in order to just say, hey, encourage and lift up your husband and don't just tear him down? Do we need stats for this? What? This is the craziest, the freaking craziest thing. I'm getting beside myself how stupid this is. Oh my goodness. Now, Rose, Wakijigo. Oh my goodness. In contrast to this heartful message, I recommend a book that was just released this week that provides evidence based, healthy, and biblical content on what makes a healthy marriage. Here it is. The Marriage You Want by Sheila Ray Gregory and Keith. Oh my goodness. Sheila, are you kidding me? We're recommending Sheila on here. Well, I'm about ready to go barf. Let me come back. Boron, neck. There is no amount of encouragement that can help a husband who does not first love his wife. Okay. Now, again, the quote was just saying wives should build up their husbands and not tear them down. Oh my goodness. Brenda Wilkinson, here we like this one. Brenda, he will not rise, or he will rise to what's expected of him, puts a heavy responsibility on the wife. It's not the fault of a wife if a husband is falling short. His actions are his responsibility alone, as her actions are her responsibility. Yeah, her actions are her responsibility, said no one ever. says no one in the church ever. Her actions are her responsibility. Nobody says that. Anyway, though, this puts a heavy responsibility on the wife. And we know we cannot put any responsibility on the wife. That is the taboo in the church. No responsibility. She doesn't have responsibility. She just gets authority. She gets authority to do whatever she wants. That's whatever she wants to do. That's what you should do. This is Rachel Love. Why don't you like that last name, Rachel Love? She works the front desk at Violins and More. Okay, Rachel Love. This is toxic Christian teaching. It breaks my heart to hear this. It breaks my heart to hear this kind of thing. Oh my goodness. It breaks your heart to hear that a husband, or sorry, that a wife should encourage and lift up her husband instead of berate him and tear him down. That, how did we get here? I don't understand. Diane Seidel says, yes, let's just put all the responsibility of the relationship on the wife. And then pastors and Christian counselors can blame her when they're in counseling because she didn't hold her husband's hand and tell him what a good boy he is. Why do ministries like Focus on the Family baby men? Well, I'm pretty sure they don't baby men. I could guarantee that, or else they'd be out of business if they were in the business of doing that. But now notice this, Diane Seidel, she's just telling on all the women here, the evangelical Christian wives. She's saying, if you even suggest that a wife should encourage and lift up her husband and not tear her husband down, then all of the responsibility in the relationship is on the wife. Oh my goodness. Laura Richard Demetrician from Harlan, Indiana says this is absolutely horrible. I urge you to listen to those pleading for you to understand. You can't, oh my God, you cannot tell a wife she should encourage and not tear down her husband. Oh my goodness. Amber Thornton said, well, this is a good comment. Amber Thornton says, why would you assume wives are beating their husbands down? Why would you think men aren't already doing their best? Why would you incite a woman to be silent when their husband is doing something wrong? This seems like a program protecting men while using and hurting women to do so. Big ick. She got the big ick from it. Oh my goodness. Why would you assume women are beating their husbands down? Well, you don't need to assume it. Just go be around any married Christian couple for a while. Hello? We don't need to assume any of this stuff. What are you talking about, Amber? Man, do you live under a rock? Oh, I guess. All right. Rebecca Jones, who is a content creator of Little Cherridge Life or whatever. She says, dear women who listen to this podcast or see this post, not all Christians believe it is the wife's responsibility to keep the marriage happy at the expense of herself. This reminder to encourage your spouse didn't need to be gendered. Blah, 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 blah. Again, if we tell women they should encourage their husbands and lift them up and not tear them down, then, then the evangelical Christian women hear that's all the wife's responsibility to keep the marriage happy. Well, we'll stop it there. I mean, I could go on all night with this stuff. I just went like, man, how did we get to this bad of a state in the church to just put a comment out here, hey, wives, your husband may be a better leader in the home and in the community if you would encourage him and lift him up and not berate him and tear him down. If you say that over almost 700 comments saying, this is horrible advice, how dare you tell a Christian wife that she should do this? How did we get to this state in the church? I don't know. Give me a comment below. How did we get to this state? Could it be the veneration of women, that we worship women, we put them on a pedestal in the church so that now you can't even put out a statement like that without the women going absolutely berserk? Man, just craziness, craziness. Well, we got to call it out and we got to get it turned around. And luckily, we are getting it turned around because Christ is winning. He is building his church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Postmillennial Man